Maria Velasquez spends her days behind a sewing machine, stitching dresses, blouses, and vests. She works an 8-hour shift and makes about $4 an hour, a far cry from the first job she had after arriving from Bolivia in 2006.
Un trabajo un sueldo digno.
I was promised a sewing job in Argentina that would pay a dignified salary of $200 a month. But just like so many other victims, I was lied to, she says. And Maria became a victim herself, forced to sew 18 hours a day, 7 days a week in a clandestine clothing factory in Buenos Aires. She says she was rarely allowed outside and slept in a hallway of the factory. She made just $25 a month.
Lo tenía mi hijo bajo la mesa llorando.
My son would sit under the sewing table and cry, and my boss would yell at us all the time, she says. With no money, no family, and nowhere else to turn, she stayed at the factory for a year. Eventually, she made her way to the La Alameda Community Center. Here, Maria and a dozen other men and women produce slave-free clothing in a non-threatening environment. Gustavo Vera is the director of the collective.
In Buenos Aires City alone, there are 3,000 clandestine clothing factories with some 25,000 workers.
Many of them suspected of working in oppressive conditions. City officials say in 2010 they identified 1,200 locations where forced labor was suspected of taking place, but they acknowledge it's a challenge to shut them down. They still do not know exactly how many clandestine factories exist. That's why Daisy Kawapasa values her job at La Alameda so much. She also spent years working in a clandestine factory and says the problem is spreading. People are still being brought from Bolivia every day. Not just here to Argentina, they go to Brazil too. The reality is that people need the work, she says. The rules here are simple. There is no boss, all decisions are voted upon, and all profits are split evenly. The members of the La Alameda Collective have now taken their goods global. They've teamed with a similar collective in Thailand and now make and sell these t-shirts with designs from artists from all over the world under the label name No Chains.
And this is that sister factory in Bangkok, Thailand, where workers also produce No Chains t-shirts. The same idea, but on the other side of the world. The small workshops are adorned with posters proclaiming the ethical nature of this business, which they call solidarity. The workers set it up in 2003 after being laid off from another garment factory with no warning and no payout, after years of terrible working conditions. Now, like the workers in Argentina, they work for themselves.
Here workers enjoy rights other workers can only dream of elsewhere. Better wages, a stake in the profits, and crucially freedom from mental and physical abuse that's so common in sweatshops across Asia.
Usaba Michai says her old employer used to fine workers even for just yawning. She says workers were intimidated, abused, and only received $60 for a 6-day week of 14-hour days. Carissa Chu regularly commissions goods from Solidarity, impressed with the quality and working conditions.
I love that it's a cooperative, that what I pay goes to them and it's equally shared, and they try to make it's ethically made, so that's why I decided to support this.
Like in Argentina, meal breaks can be as long as workers want, without a tyrannical boss yelling at them. And this is the finished product, ethically produced t-shirts bearing the label Sweat-Free Garments, part of a partnership that literally spans the globe. With Brian Burns in Argentina, I'm Dan Rivers for CNN in Bangkok.